I feel like a little disclaimer is going to be needed here. I wasn't going to make this video. Okay, I was, but it collided with my top 10 overrated games list. And since at the time Movie Maker was all I had, I can only get one project out or the other. I ultimately went with the top 10 since I started working on that one already. So I sent my lines, scripts, and avatar pics to Henry, who agreed to edit it for me. He ended up taking too long, and eventually I decided to edit it on my own with Shotcut. I originally wanted this video to go up in June, but obviously that didn't happen. Also, I wrote my script the day I watched this video. I'm spiteful and stubborn, and I wasn't going to let this opportunity fly by. And I know Redden and David the Savior already made commentaries on this video, but there is a bunch of stuff they missed that I plan to cover. So, roll that intro. Greetings, this is the Nihilistic Snake, and I'm ready for action. So, while I'm not the biggest fan of drama, it is fun to get yourself caught in the mosh, which is why I'll be commentating on Just a Robot, and it requires some backstory. Some guy made a video about Pokemon who could destroy the world. Just a Robot did a commentary on it. Doodletones did a commentary on Robot's video, and Robot responded to it. I'll be commentating on that. After all, it's the least I can do after she edited my Milo Stewart commentary. So with all that out of the way, let's get this show on the road.
Just a Robot. Doing that video on Our Game's Racist was a lot of hard work. I gotta lay down and recharge my batteries. Hang on, what's this? Oh, looks like someone did a commentary on me.
M-Skull? Is that you? Are you posing as a cyborg commentator?
Green is not a creative color.
Hey, what's this? 11 Pokemon that could destroy the world? Well, that doesn't sound so bad.
Okay, this is going to seriously bother me if I don't bring this up here. I get it, you're trying to be a robot, that's your character, but the way you speak is grating. It's as if you're a child trying to sound incredibly cool, but you wind up sounding more edgy than anything. It makes me want to play dodgeball in traffic.
It's always great when people start off a commentary with an ad hominem attack. Now, normally I don't care about ad hominem attacks, but the thing is, Doodletone does.
Even show off your real voice instead of using Speakonia. Use a different program. Or better yet, use your real voice.
Returning viewers will definitely know this, but the whole use your real voice argument seriously gets on my nerves. Same goes for the show us your real face argument. Neither of these critiques debunk anything anyone has to say. Instead, this is what is known as an ad hominem, which is basically something directed at a person instead of the argument that they hold.
So it's bad for Pikachu Gamer 64 to complain about someone using Speakonia, but it's a-okay for you to complain about me using a robot voice. You're such a hypocrite.
No, she is not a hypocrite. What you just showed actually works in her favor. Her complaint against Pikachu Gamer was that he was pulling the use your real voice argument. Doodletones was criticizing your robot voice because she thought the way you were doing it is annoying. She wasn't complaining that you weren't using your real voice. So, honestly, she's perfectly fine.
Now I know what some of you are thinking. Hey, in your commentary on MGTOW Gangster, you pointed out that his microphone quality was bad at the beginning of your commentary. And yes, while I did tell him that, I also told him where he can get a good microphone, and I said this. I know that my robot voice is not the most pleasant thing to listen to, but at the very least it's something new. So at the very least I acknowledge that my robot voice isn't that good.
I told this to Jake Spider-Monkey 1994, and I'll tell you too. Pointing out your problems doesn't make them go away.
I didn't want to end with this one.
Electrobe? Really?
Nor did I want to lead with it, or put it in the middle. I know this isn't a top 10, but you always have to save the best for last, and I wasn't sure if this one was the best, or the worst.
It's the worst, dude.
You, gonna explain why there, friend? I mean, saying that Electrode is just the worst Pokemon to choose for this list without explanation is rather unfortunate. I mean, you must know something I don't. inform me, because as far as I'm concerned, Electrode isn't even the worst electric-type Pokemon for this list.
When I say it's the worst, I'm not saying it's the worst Pokemon ever. I'm saying it's the worst Pokemon on this list. Pay attention to what he says before I say it's the worst.
Hey, fuckface! Take your own advice! Did you not pay attention to what Doodle said? She was complaining that you didn't elaborate on what you meant, stupid. Way to claim Doodle as a hypocrite and then right after make yourself out to be a hypocrite as well.
In the top 10, but you always have to save the best for last, and I wasn't sure if this one was the best or the worst.
If you want me to elaborate why it's the worst Pokemon on this list, he says this about it.
One Electrode alone would not be enough to destroy the world.
He doesn't say that about any of the other Pokemon, just Electrode.
That still doesn't change the fact that you should have explained in your original video. Why should we have to sit around playing Trivial Pursuit as to what you meant when you could prove your point like a good commentator would?
This is probably fine in the Pokemon world, since we've seen them explode many times without causing too much damage. But that wouldn't be the same in our world. You see, Electrodes store their energy under very high pressure, so when they explode, you can be sure they will cause great damage. This probably isn't reflected in the anime because it's a kid show. Electrode are also very attracted to electricity, and the problem is, only a small shock is enough to set them off. Actually, its Pokedex entry in Omega Ruby states that during thunderstorms, you can see Electrode exploding everywhere. Which brings me to my next point. One Electrode alone would not be enough to destroy the world, but if all the Electrodes started blowing up, they definitely could.
If every Electrobe's explosion was the size of a few megatons, then yeah, they could possibly destroy the world, but Electrobe explosions are the size of grenade explosions. If every single grenade on Earth blew up, yeah, it would cause quite a lot of damage, but nowhere near enough to destroy the world.
Evidence, please. I mean, the burden of proof is on you. I can't find shit all that claims Electrode's explosions are the size of grenades.
Well then, let's take a look at a few Electrobe explosions.
それに、マルマインは生き物なのかどうか未だに不明と言われておるが、そのわけはじゃな。はい、お口をあーしてごらん。
Okay, so our first example didn't do any damage to the laboratory or Professor Oak, but maybe the Electrobe was just a low level. Let's take a look at some others.
I choose you! Wrong Pokemon!
Train that thing!
Electrode!
Allahu Akbar.
Okay, this explosion was pretty big. However, you could make the argument that the explosion was a combined effort of the Electrobe and the hot air balloon's fuel tank. Let's do two more.
Yeah, let's not. And I'm gonna bring this up now since it happens throughout the video. Bro, you drag out your points way too much. I've been sitting here for about 2 minutes and you've only shown 2 examples. One with Electrode using possibly a different move and another with an unnecessary ISIS joke. Just bring up one example to prove your point and that's it. That's all you need. Oh, and it's pronounced Electrode, not Electrobe, you idiot.
Green is not a creative color.
As soon as he even starts to erupt volcanoes, America would just nuke him.
I mean, I could bring up the fact that Groudon is practically the god of land, bring up several hypotheticals that put you in an awkward position, or I could just take the easy way out and point to its Pokemon Emerald Pokedex entry where it says it just awakening this thing causes volcanoes to erupt.
Yeah, but how many volcanoes will erupt? 50? 500? All of them? All of them? The thing is, the Pokédex just says that volcanoes will erupt. Not all the volcanoes will erupt.
Also, the repercussions of killing a god that created the land we stand on is definitely something to take into account.
Whoa, what?
Also, the repercussions of killing a god that created the land we stand on is definitely something to take into account.
Groudon created the land in the Pokemon world, not the land in our world. Do you even know what you're talking about anymore?
Oh, calm your circuitry, you know what she meant. And that still doesn't negate her argument that killing Groudon would be pretty disastrous.
This scenario would be similar to the one with Groudon, except oceans would overflow, thunderstorms would cause massive damage, and tsunamis would destroy everything. Kyogre doesn't need to go primal for any of it either.
Now, I could use the same argument I used for Groudon, but I'm going to do something else this time. Earlier in the video, you said this.
I'm talking about the actual destruction of the Earth, not humanity.
Now, if the Earth was flooded, it wouldn't be destroyed. It would just be, well, covered in water. What even is your definition of being destroyed? This is my definition of being destroyed.
Large amounts of flooding can't destroy the Earth until it does. Storms can't cause damage until they do.
Doodle Tones does this a lot. She seems to think me saying that something won't destroy the Earth equals it won't do any damage at all, which is completely false. It's kind of like if someone says, if the polar ice caps melted, the entire Earth would be destroyed.
Well, it's your fault that she supposedly misunderstood you because the concept of clarification seems to have escaped you.
But more to the point. Water causes not only issues to civilization. If you want to take out civilization issues, then it can cause issues with erosion too. It can also kill all the plant life out on Earth if Kyogre fucking comes in with a flood. That wouldn't be out of place in the Pokemon Old Testament. And sure, while he breaks the rules of his own list, I'm not faulting you there. However, what I can fault you for is if you're only including natural issues.
The entire Earth being covered in water is not a natural issue.
Yes, it is, you fucking retard. Water is a part of nature.
The fact that Kyogre can do a lot of damage to the Earth as it is. Try again.
My argument isn't Kyogre can't do any damage. My argument is Kyogre can't do enough damage to destroy the Earth. Just because something can do a lot of damage to the Earth doesn't mean it can destroy the Earth.
One could argue that if enough damage is dealt to a specific thing, it will get destroyed.
That note, math isn't my strong suit, so I'll be skipping the Mega Blastoise segment.
You have got to be kidding me! It doesn't matter if math is your strong suit or not. What he's saying is so blatantly wrong. He's saying that something that can rip through solid steel, increased by 50%, can destroy the Earth. That's like saying 1 + 2 = 420 octillion.
But if she's not good at math, then she wouldn't be able to argue with you and therefore look like a total idiot. You kind of want to avoid doing that when arguing. And I'm no math whiz either, but if you increase the power of something that can rip through solid steel by 50%, then you'd be able to pierce through diamonds, the hardest substance on Earth. So there could be a chance of Armageddon if we calculate this just right.
Green is not a creative color.
Do you know how hot the surface of the sun is? 9,940 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's over 9,000!
But that's still not as hot as Macargo's body temperature, which is almost double at 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is obviously not a problem in the Pokemon world for whatever reason, but that wouldn't work here. Macargo could destroy our world just by being close to it, and that probably makes it one of the most dangerous Pokemon on this list.
Now granted, that would cause a lot of damage, but nuclear explosions are far hotter and way bigger than a few 100,000 Macargos.
This does not prove Mango Man wrong, though. All you really do is imply nukes don't do damage to the Earth on their own.
What? My argument is, we have things on Earth that are way hotter than twice the surface of the sun. If they can't destroy the Earth, then Macargo can't destroy the Earth. And not just nukes, we have plasma cutters that are far hotter than Macargo.
Celsius? Celsius? How fucking retarded are you? Your grammar is fucking awful! Just for that, I refuse to take you seriously.
Close to it.
Oh god, it's funny every single time.
Seeing as it's approximately 2 times hotter than the sun, if my grade school math is correct.
He's only twice as hot as the surface of the sun. Here's how hot the sun's core is.
The sun alone, if it was closer to our Earth, hell, the sun as it is now can cause wildfires. Being in Colorado, I should know this firsthand. Imagining what it would do if it was closer to the Earth makes me wonder how can you argue this point is.
Just because something is as hot as something doesn't mean it's as powerful. The sun is several times bigger than the Earth, and Macargo is the size of a dog.
It would depend on how many Macargos there are. If there was only one Macargo on Earth, then yeah, it wouldn't destroy the Earth. But if there were enough to encircle the planet, then yeah, we'd all be dead.
Especially seeing as Macargo, being in the woods would kill probably half the wildlife in that woods. You know, partially destroying the world.
Well, partially destroying the Earth doesn't equal destroying the whole Earth. Also, another thing about Magmar.
Okay, now, stop. I'm skipping the rest of this point since what I say covers it completely. I don't care if you are bad at names. If you acknowledge a flaw after recording a line, then retake it. There is no reason for this obvious problem to be here, especially considering that Magmar and Macargo are pretty hard to mix up.
Green is not a creative color.
I feel like we've gone through every possible scenario of how our world could end, but the entire planet freezing? Yeah, I don't think we've covered that yet. Out of all the Ice-type legendary Pokemon, Kyurem is probably the only one that can accomplish that. During Black 2 and White 2, Team Plasma froze Oak City with the help of Kyurem and some technology. But that's the Pokemon world. If we've learned anything during all of this, is that the Pokemon world is a lot more resistant than ours. So I have no doubt in my mind that Kyurem could freeze our entire planet and end life as we know it.
The only thing we learned so far is that you're an idiot. Even if your argument about the Pokemon world being more resistant than our world was correct, it would have to be a few million times more resistant. Here's the landmass of New York City, and this is the landmass of the entire Earth. You may have noticed that the landmass of the entire Earth is a bit more than 50% bigger than New York City. No, I'm not going to let that go.
So, the Pokemon world isn't more resistant than the human world.
What? Can you even speak English?
You are in no position to talk about English comprehension given how you can't even spell the word Celsius correctly.
English? My argument isn't the Pokemon world is not more resistant. My argument is, if it is more resistant, it would have to be a few million times more resistant. Yeah, the Pokemon world is probably more resistant, but you can't just say something that would destroy a city in one world would destroy the entire planet in another world.
Technically, yes you can. Pulling up a DC Comics example, Darkseid's planet Apocalypse can handle constant eruptions and lava flows due to the fact that the planet is slathered in anti-life. If that were to happen on Earth, both DC and real Earth, it would be destroyed in a matter of minutes, maybe a little less than that. The Pokemon Earth was obviously designed by its creators to take insane amounts of destruction. How else would there be Pokemon battles every day? And this is probably the biggest thing in my favor. Rock and ground type Pokemon know the move Earthquake. If they use that move casually in battle and the planet hasn't eroded into itself by now, the Pokemon Earth can definitely make our Earth its bitch.
Also, if the planet did freeze over, humanity still could survive.
That would be reliant on how much of the Earth has frozen over. If all forms of sustainable life had been eliminated, we as humans would die, which is probably what the countdown maker in the question was trying to get across.
Huh, there's a specific Pokemon you didn't discredit that proves you wrong. Wonder who it could be. Oh right, Macargo discredits your whole argument here. Hey Robot, do me a huge favor and go hug the sun. Just get into a rocket ship and fly to the sun, then tell me how their world isn't more resistant to shit like that.
Just a lightning bolt explosion often exceeds the heat of 90,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's roughly 5 times hotter than Macargo.
Hopefully I don't have to bring this up anymore. Again, if there were enough Macargo on Earth to live on every continent and country, then yes, they could possibly destroy the Earth. Same for your lightning strike example. If lightning strikes completely blanketed the Earth, we'd all die.
Anything it sees. So that technically means anything, right? Then it would be really unfortunate if a Ditto came to Earth and decided to destroy it, because it totally could. Think about any day in your life. What do you usually see outside? The sun. If Ditto wanted to destroy the planet, all it would have to do is transform into the sun while on Earth. That alone would instantly destroy the planet.
I don't think it's ever implied in any of the shows or any of the games that Ditto can transform into something that big or that far away.
Well, no, but there's nothing that implies Electro's explosion is comparable to that of a grenade either.
Aloha Bar.
Zekyle.
Also, Mew has the ability to transform, so shouldn't she or he or it be on the list?
Well, Ditto is much more known for transformation, and even if he was, this doesn't prove the original guy wrong. Look, Robot, I don't fault you for the majority of these mistakes. Honestly, the fact that you weren't looking at the differences between the two worlds, which is where a lot of this original list comes from, is where a lot of the issues from your video comes from.
But I do know that the Pokemon world is more resistant than our world. However, you can't just say something that would freeze over a city in the Pokemon world would freeze our entire planet over in our world. Yes, we do know that the Pokemon world is more resistant than our world.
Exactly, so I'm ending it here. The video is basically over and he just gives his final thoughts on Doodle, which is just a stupid Filthy Frank joke. Final thoughts, this honestly was rather poor. You missed a lot of what Doodle was saying, and not to mention your points dragged out for years. That was probably my biggest gripe. You only made about 13 interjections over the course of 20 minutes. You're so slow with your points that scripting this took an hour for me to do. My advice is to work on your presentation and debate skills, since they definitely need polishing, especially the former. Anyways, thanks for watching. This is the Nihilistic Snake, slithering out of here.
Oh, Yoshime, they don't believe me.